Gonna give it a moment and let everyone come in from the waiting room. All right, as a reminder, please make sure you're muted unless you are presenting or testifying. All right. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is February 9th, 2022. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to certain temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review some procedural matters, I'll introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm pleased to be joined by my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Lisa Holmes, Commissioner Alejandro St. Gian, Commissioner Darlene Lambos, and Commissioner John Smith.
Thank you, Chairwoman Joyce. And my name is Jasmine Nguyen, and I am the Boston Cannabis Board Manager. I will read each item into the record. I will then ask who is present on behalf of each applicant. The first four items are requests for changes by already approved licensees, so they will have 5 minutes each to present to the BCB, followed by questions from the board members. We will then move to new license applications. Can you make sure you everyone, please? We will then move to new license application in which they will have 10 minutes each to present to the BCB, followed by questions from the board members. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or the representatives, followed by general public. If you wish to testify, please sign up via the link that I will put in the chat. If you have done so already, you do not have to request to testify again. Additionally, you may use the chat function to request to testify. Please wait until the matter in which you would like to speak about is called. Do not use the chat to give testimony. It will not be considered. Please state your full name, address, and affiliation when you are giving testimony. Testimony will be limited to 2 minutes, at which you will be muted. Additional testimony may be submitted in writing to cannabisboard@boston.gov. The record will be kept open until Tuesday, February 15th at 5 p.m. The BCB does not give any more weight to spoken testimony than it does to written testimony. Items number 5, High Park Dispensary LLC, and number 9, Rooted In LLC, have been rescheduled to the March 9th agenda. So that is item number 5, High Park Dispensary LLC, and number 9, Rooted In LLC, as I know a few people have signed up to testify on those matters. The first item we have is the applicant is Core Empowerment LLC. License premise is 401 Center Street, Jamaica Plain. The license type is a recreational cannabis dispensary license. The request is to remove condition number 7 on their license, which states the company agrees to the representations it made to the community regarding a shared valet zone, a pickup and drop-off zone, and police details. The applicant is also requesting to amend the operating hours from Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. to Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Tomas Gonzalez.
April Arasati.
Thank you. So you have 5 minutes to present. I will give you a warning at the 2-minute mark and the 1-minute mark. You may share your screen if you have a presentation.
Sure.
Okay, so do we have the Tomas, do you have the presentation, or did we submit it in advance?
We have the presentation. I'm sharing it right now.
Okay,
Can everybody
great.
see my
Great.
screen?
Thank you. Okay, I can walk us through the presentation, and then this is April, and then we can talk about the outreach we have done so far within the neighborhood. So this is a request to extend our hours. Our current hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily, and we're requesting to extend the hours 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We've included some neighborhood businesses and their closing hours. So We have our neighbors, the Brendan Bean, open till 1 a.m., Canary Square, 12 a.m., Blue Nile and the Haven, which is our immediate neighbor, 10 p.m., and El Oriental de Cuba is 9 p.m. across the street. We, like I said, our current hours are 11 to 8 p.m. daily. And this, when we talk about it in terms of neighboring dispensary hours, there's a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., which is Ascend in the West End, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sanctuary over in Brookline, Pure Oasis 10 to 9, Netta 10 to 8, and Mission in Brookline 10 to 8. So we especially want to do this because we believe we can serve our patients. We have people that we are turning away. I'm sorry, I come from a medical, our guests. So we have people that we are turning away in the morning and also in the evening. And we think this would really assist our guests in their consumer, in their purchases and their ability to get to the store during their times that work for them. The second thing that we are asking for is exemption from the shared valet service. We have the 6 dedicated parking spots out front, 15-minute parking spots for the businesses on our corner. Our average customer transaction time is 1.9 minutes. Our average customer count is about 22 per hour. And per day, we're seeing about 276 people. 21% of the purchases are online and 50% of our customers come from JP. So the above data, the data is really showing that seed has had no impact on little to no impact on the traffic in the area, which is, what we sort of included in our traffic plan. Dedicated parking is sufficient for our customers, and we don't have the need for the shared valet, which was just one component of a traffic plan that was trying to be flexible in terms of whether we would need it or not. I want to turn this over to Tomas right now to talk about some of the outreach that we've done already within the community. So Tomas, if you want to inform the board of who we've spoken to and what the results have been.
So we've done our initial butter meeting back in November, and unfortunately that initial meeting was postponed because the ONS coordinator had an emergency. We had a second community meeting or a butter meeting set up 2 weeks later. We flyered the whole neighborhood and did certified mail. There was no opposition. It was very little turnout, unfortunately. So we went on to the neighborhood council and presented there to the full board. We received their support and are now just moving forward with the board. We've been reaching out to our neighbors and everyone who lives around us regarding the changes in the time and the change in the parking, the change in the condition for the HCA. And again, we haven't received any pushback and it's been, pretty good so far in terms of our outreach efforts with everyone.
Thank you. So at this point, we're just informing the board, looking forward to happy to answer any questions we have, but that is all we have to present at this point.
Thomas, do you have a video?
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, Jasmine?
You have a video because we just see your name. So thank you.
I'm sorry.
Nope, you're fine. We will now move to questions from the board members. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions?
I do. Can you please provide some background about this valet zone pickup drop off? So it's something that's part of your HCA. Can you tell me about the negotiation, the conversations way back when with the community and what promises you made and who else is part of this valet zone?
Yeah, so initially we put together a traffic plan. There was a lot of concern in the neighborhood that we would have a similar problem to the opening of Netta, which was very public and people were afraid of these long lines and parking issues and traffic issues. So we created a traffic plan that had a lot of different components. And one of the things we wanted to do was, work with the community. There's Hyde Square sort of business association where we're trying to get more people to come to Hyde Square. So we brought this forward as far as we could, and Tomas can speak to how we brought it to the Boston Transportation Department. We went down a lot of avenues to try and see if this was something that the neighborhood could support and something that we could actually get authorized. And there were a few reasons why we couldn't. It's actually pretty novel. There's only, I think, one other in the city, and they've been not operating due to the pandemic and things like that. But that's sort of what the thought was, if we could try to revitalize the square by working with our business, the neighboring restaurants, to have this, you know, this boost or an ability to make people to come to the square. And it just didn't impact, the dispensary didn't have the impact that was anticipated. So
what is your financial contribution to this?
Excuse me?
Is there a financial contribution that you have to pay into this shared valet zone?
No, it doesn't exist. It's something that we were going to try to get passed.
Yeah,
Okay.
we would have had to, have carried the bulk of it.
Yes.
Um,
So Tomas, do you want to talk about, you know, the interaction with the BTD and all of that? How?
Yeah. So as April had already mentioned, you know, we went down a lot of different avenues to sort of make this one happen. When we were about to launch, we were in the middle of COVID, and unfortunately, BTD did not allow us to move forward with the shared valet. The shared valet that we were envisioning looks similar to the one in the North End, whereby a number of different restaurants get to participate in that shared valet process. Unfortunately, we would have been taking the bulk of the responsibility and the cost on this one.
Well, I know valets were prohibited during certain phases of COVID, so that's probably why it wasn't used.
Yeah,
it wasn't just that.
We weren't able to use it from March, or even consider from March to June. And then
2020?
Yeah, well,
Right,
2021.
it wasn't allowed.
Yeah, well, it wasn't allowed in 2021 when we launched as well. So once the outdoor seating and everything began to happen, a lot of things began to open up. But by that point, we've already been open for 4 months, and we hadn't made an impact on the neighborhood. We don't have the long lines.
Okay.
You know, there was no 311 calls saying, you know,
Yeah,
we
I
were
mean,
parking, double parking.
Yeah, the real issue is there wasn't enough volume. You know, the anticipated crowds and all of that, it just didn't happen. So it wasn't just, you know, COVID, it was that we don't have the volume to support this type of operation there.
And do you have on-site parking anywhere?
No.
Okay.
We did work hard with the city to get some of the signs changed to 2-hour, and you know, the 6 parking spots out front were designated for our corner. So, but we don't see, I mean, they're empty a lot. You know, like I said, 50% of our guests are local and they're walking there. And a lot of the others are in and out. It's very short transaction time.
I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions for the applicant? No. Commissioner St. Gian?
No.
Commissioner Lombos?
Questions, thanks.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. No, I do not.
Okay. And I just want to apologize, the chat function is not available. So if you do want to testify, if you could just raise your hand. I will still, some people already signed up, so I will go through the ones that were able to sign up, but the chat function is not available. So first we'll begin with elected officials or representatives that would like to testify on this matter.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Kim Crusilli from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, speak on behalf of my colleague Tiffany Caballero. A community meeting was held in November of 2021. They received support from the Neighborhood Council and have heard no opposition of abutters. They were generally supportive. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives? Okay, we'll move to those who were able to sign up via the chat. I have first Christine Christy, I see your name is Christy on.
Hi, sorry, yes, it's Christy. Hi, everyone. I am the homeowner of 28 Perkins Street in Jamaica Plain at the top section of Perkins Street that runs into Hyde Square Rotary. Been in JP for probably 20 years now. And obviously traffic has increased with the increased businesses, including this business. And the street signs were changed on this section of Perkins Street to 2-hour parking only, while Day Street and other streets that shoot off the same space were changed to 2 hours, except for resident parking stickers. And so while I support the local businesses in the community, it would be really helpful for our little section that there are residents, long-term residents that live on the block, to have the same street sign designation as Day Street and the other streets that are surrounding leading in, because this is where the impact of the traffic has happened. And it would help the local residents who live in the neighborhood to be able to have either 2-hour parking except for resident sticker or resident only on that section. So that I just wanted to say that piece. I'd be really grateful for that if that could happen. I don't know why our street got just 2-hour and all the other little streets that are protected have the 2-hour except resident only.
Thank you. Michael Reiskin.
Hello, my name is Michael Reiskind. I live at 425 South Huntington Avenue in Jamaica Plain, and I'm a member of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council. I did also attend the abutters meeting in November, and we'd like to support both requests by Core Empowerment doing business as Seed Dispensary at 401A Center Street. The hours we consider completely compatible with all the other businesses in the area, and we think 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. is appropriate. We'd also support dropping the shared valet requirement. Experience has shown that it's not needed. It never happened, and there hasn't been any traffic problems in the area. The existing 6 short-term spaces in front of the business is appropriate for this business. I'd like to add 2 clarifications if I can. The request is not Article 7, but I think it's Article 22, subsection 7 in the host community agreement. And they're not requesting to change the whole subsection 7, which has 3 requirements, but they're just asking to drop the shared valet part of that requirement. So 2 clarifications on that. But we fully support what they're requesting. The Neighborhood Council also considered some of the other promises that the Core Empowerment made to the community, which are not included in the host community agreement. And we just like a general request that the community neighborhood residents be more involved in the negotiations for the host community agreements going forward.
Michael,
we've agreed. Go ahead.
We're just focused on what the proposal is today.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to. A lot of the discussion was about other things. So, but host community agreements in general should be more community oriented. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to testify on this matter? Seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So items 2, 3, and 4 are all related, so I will read all 3 into the record together. The applicant is Erber C3 Dorchester LLC. The license premise is 43 Freeport Street, Dorchester. The license type is a recreational cannabis dispensary license. The next applicant is Mass Citizens for Social Equity LLC. License premise is 561 Dudley Street, Roxbury. also a recreational cannabis dispensary license. And the third is Mass Citizens for Social Equity LLC. The license premises 3995 to 3997 Washington Street in Rosendale. This is also a recreational cannabis dispensary license. All three applicants are requesting to add the DBA High Profile ex Bodega. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Hello, I'm President Brian Chavez. Hello, honorable members of the board.
Okay.
Good afternoon, all. Daniel Glissman, also attorney with Prince Lobel, here on behalf of the applicant. Thank you all for having us this afternoon. As the board may recall, we came before them several months ago discussing a ownership transfer whereby Brian was merging his existing Massachusetts Citizens for Social Equity entity with the group that he had partnered with on a third facility through Herba C3 Dorchester, C3 Industries. So this DBA request to that we have before the board is just a part of that overall branding process to bring all three stores under one umbrella. So as was mentioned, Herba C3 Dorchester LLC and Massachusetts Citizens for Social Equity LLC are seeking approval to all operate under the brand name High Profile by Bodega. We have received Cannabis Control Commission approval for that DBA under Herba C3 Dorchester, and the approval from the Cannabis Control Commission for the Massachusetts Citizens for Social Equity LLC DBA is currently pending. That's all we have in terms of a presentation. But again, thank you all for having us this afternoon and welcome any questions by the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Can you break down for me what your ownership interest will be in these?
I'm sorry, there's no proposed ownership change from the prior application. I was merely just referencing the prior proposal, but Brian Chavez is the 51% owner of all three facilities, and C3 Industries is the 49% owner of all three of these licenses as well.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions for the applicant? No question. Okay.
No, ma'am, I have no question. I couldn't find the button. I have no question.
Commissioner Ramos, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No questions. Thanks, Jasmine.
Commissioner St. Gian?
Just one question. As you said, Counselor, I think it was last summer actually, came before the board with the transfer. What was the name again of the other, the 49% entity? I know you just said it.
It's C3 Industries.
C3 Industries. And are they intending to change their business names as well? Or is this just all of the businesses that are being operated by Mr. Chavez?
Brian, I don't know that I know the answer to that question. My understanding is it's just for the retail facilities in Boston. But Brian, if you have additional information, please chime in.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dan. Thank you for the question, Ms. Guillen. So the reason High Profile is the name of the stores for C3, that's their retail brand under C3. So the reason how we came up with the name is basically to co-brand our companies. They were gonna kind of come in with that high profile identity, but yet we also wanted to maintain an identity, it being our stores, our city. And just to give you a prelapse, 2 out of the 3 licenses that we were approved for, as I testified before, were on family-owned properties, and they were former convenience stores. Convenience stores in urban settings are also known as bodegas. So we thought it would be a cool name to name it, but now that it's a retail cannabis dispensary, bodega. And the name was approved by the CCC, and it doesn't violate any of the state regulations.
Yeah, and just to add there are no changes to the actual entities that were that have been previously approved by the BCB. This is just a request for a DBA.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions?
Thanks, Jasmine. No, I don't.
Okay, we will now move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives. Again, the chat function is not available, so if you would like to testify, just raise your hand. Councilor Royal's office, you have your hand raised.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Jordan Frias from Councilor Royal's office. I just want to, go on the record and our office is in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or their representatives? Seeing none, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Now we will move to the applications for our new licenses that follow the 1-to-1 equity to non-equity ratio. Again, items number 5, High Park Dispensary LLC, and number 9, Rooted In LLC have been rescheduled to the March 9th agenda. So in order to adhere to the spirit of the 1-to-1 equity to non-equity ratio, we are going to start with our equity applicant first. So calling High Street Cannabis Group LLC, High Street. The proposed license premise is at 200 High Street downtown. The license type is a recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours of operations are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. The initial application was filed June 15th, 2021. The Inspectional Services Department filing was June 10th, 2021. The community meeting took place on November 10th, 2021. And there is a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Before I proceed with the presentation, I will ask Aaliyah Forrest, who works in the Mayor's Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion as a cannabis business manager, to testify regarding the equity certification, sorry.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, everyone. Our office was able to certify High Street Cannabis Group LLC as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicant. Carlins Bourget is the 42% beneficial interest holder of High Street Cannabis Group LLC, and Marie St. Fleur is the 9% beneficial interest holder of the same. Together, their beneficial interests meet the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mr. Bourget and Ms. St. Fleur meet the following criteria. They both have resided in areas of disproportionate impact as defined by the Cannabis Control Commission for at least 5 of the last 10 years. Mr. Bourget submitted a copy of his driver's license and 5 years of financial statements, which establishes that Mr. Bourget has been a resident of Lynn, Massachusetts from at least 2016 through the present. The CCC has designated Lynn as a community of disproportionate impact. Ms. St. Fleur submitted a copy of her driver's license, a proof of residency certificate, and 5 years of financial statements that establish that she has resided on Hartford Street in Dorchester since at least 2014. The address provided has been designated by the CCC as an area of disproportionate impact. As aforementioned, Ms. St. Fleur submitted documentation establishing that she has been a resident of Boston since at least 2014. This satisfies the criteria of a person who has resided in the city of Boston for at least the past 7 years. Both Mr. Bourget and Ms. St. Fleur identify as Black and of Haitian descent. This satisfies the criteria of a person who is Black, African-American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. Finally, Mr. Bourget provided his federal income tax returns, which reported a taxable income below the 100% household area median income for Lynn. Are there any questions about this certification?
Thanks, Aaliyah. I have no questions.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Marie St. Fleur, representing for the licensee, and I'm here with my colleagues.
Thank you. You'll have 10 minutes. I will give you a warning at the 5-minute mark and the 2-minute mark. You may share your screen and begin your presentation.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, again, and members of the Boston Cannabis Board. Thank you for having us today. I'm joined by our counsel, Dan Glissman, who's with Prince Lobel. My name is Marie St. Fleur. I'm a partner in High Street Cannabis Group, LLC. I'm here today on behalf of our members to present our application and proposal. We are a certified Boston equity applicant proposing an adult use cannabis establishment to be located at 200 High Street in the Wharf District neighborhood of Boston. 75.5% of our company is Black owned. 51% of the company is owned by certified Boston equity applicants, and half of us are Boston residents. Collins is a next generation, next slide. Collins is a next generation business owner. His father has operated a popular downtown Taylor business for over 20 years. Paul has operated a business in Boston for over 20 years, and Gosder Sharalis is a current Boston resident, founder of the Gosder Sharalis Foundation, which focuses on improving the lives of underserved populations in the United States and in Haiti. And he's also a former NFL offensive tackle. We will be partnering with Calvin Johnson's organization to better understand how cannabis can be used to treat chronic pain and injuries such as CTE. Diversity is extremely important to our team and to me personally. Our commitment to diversity goes beyond our ownership. We intend to seek and find vendors of products from minority and women-owned businesses. Next. This application is within the half-mile buffer zone. As you can see by the 4 maps that we have before you, the demographics of this neighborhood supports the addition of another establishment. The downtown area is one of the most densely populated sections in Boston in several regards. If you take a look at the map, the yellow and the orange indicate the level of density. Okay, the second map illustrates the significant density of hotels. You see the clusters of hotels in that area. The third illustrates the significant density of on-premise liquor licenses. You see the cluster of blue on that third map. And finally, the last map shows you the market opportunity that exists. It shows you the approved cannabis licenses in this area. As you can see, the density of the cannabis licenses here is quite modest. And we also believe that our unique approach, wellness, research, and education, fulfills an unmet need. Next. You know, plenty of Dunkin' Donuts are clustered in that part of the city as well. Next. This is a map of all the area parking garages, T stations, and blue bike stations. The high volume of motor vehicles in this part of the city is a challenge. It's evident by all of the parking indicated on this map, and that is not all the parking that is available. To reduce that challenge, we will incentivize our employees and our patrons to use alternative forms of transportation. Thanks to a grant from the Boston Equity Program, we were able to hire Fuss and O'Neill to review the existing traffic conditions as they relate to this location and prepare a traffic demand management plan to encourage our employees to travel via public transportation, bicycle, or by foot. Next. Matt Skelly is on the call today, and he's available to answer any questions. If you have any questions about that, we appreciate the good work already done in this regard by Better City, who's a member of the Wharf District Council. They have been working in this space for years and have implemented the traffic demand management plans to reduce employee traffic to this area of the city. We intend to partner with them and learn from their efforts. Now, if you look at this slide, I want to invite my partner, Gosder Sharalis, who's a graduate of Somerville High School. He's a current Boston resident. He's a former offensive tackle for the Detroit Lions, and he would like to share our vision for this dispensary with you.
Thanks, Marie. Thanks, Marie. Hello, Madam Chair and members of the board. It is great to be before you today. I have learned a lot in my professional career. One of the things that I became most concerned about was the debilitating use of powerful and addictive pain-killing drugs for many of my friends and fellow athletes through my professional and amateur career. A lot of the players fought hard to allow the use of cannabis or CBD product as a wellness pathway and a means to mitigate some of the trauma we face both in our bodies and in our mind. I'm not here to make medical claims. I only want to say that I became very impressed with the potential that cannabis has to improve the quality of life for all responsible users, from office workers to professional athletes like myself. The vision of High Street Cannabis is to meet those people where they are with products and advice to help them make informed decisions based on what works best for them. To sum it up, High Street Cannabis will be focusing on the wellness and how our products can best serve people in our community. And now, Marie, I would turn it back to you.
So thanks, Gaza. Take us to slide 7, Dan. I want to share that we are 100% committed to employment diversity and inclusion goals. 50% of our team are Boston residents, 70% will be of color, 50% will be women. We want to build a very diverse pool of applicants and will work with intentionality to recruit from many communities, including immigrants, LGBTQ, returning citizens, and veterans. We will collaborate with local workforce development programs to attract local talent. And as stated in our application overview, we will achieve these goals by collaborating with many stakeholders, including community groups, elected officials, and appointed officials, using diverse platforms. We are proud to note that we are launching a mentoring program for at least 8 participants annually, and we are happy to get this into greater detail about that during the question and answer period, or to provide supplemental information. Next. So working with the Wharf District Council, we transformed our space with an eye for what works best for the surrounding community. Specifically, the entrance on Broad Street will be for staff and employees only. There will be no public access on Broad Street. You can see that on the upper right-hand corner of the screen, all right? Moreover, we want to be able to make certain that the main street and the main entrance will be on High Street. And that's at the bottom of your screen. You see that green box that you see at the bottom of the screen there?
3 minutes left.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, 3 minutes left, sorry.
Okay. We have reduced the overall square footage of the sales floor from 1989 to 1321 square foot. As a result of that reduction, we've been able to work with the community to create a dedicated community space. Okay, next. This is the floor plan. Go to the next screen, you'll see the floor plan. The access to the establishment will be from High Street. Customers must show a valid identification 3 times. Once upon entering the foyer, each customer must present identification to staff to ensure they are of age. The second time, when they walk through the actual High Street entrance, each customer will be directed to the check-in desk, at which time their identification will be checked again visually and with an electronic scanner. And finally, their identification will be checked at the point of sale. Now, we want to note that at the foyer, when you come in, the staff there will also monitor for capacity to ensure social distancing and compliance with capacity. If necessary, staff will direct customers to a waiting area in the lower level, that basement area, in order to prevent queuing on the sidewalk. And finally, I want to move us to slide 10. We are committed to spearheading and overseeing an ongoing collaboration between the cannabis establishments now in the Wharf District. We want to work with the Boston Police Department, community members, and other stakeholders to anticipate, prevent, and actively address nuisance and quality of life issues. Specifically, we will work with the Wharf District Council and the Rose Kennedy Greenway to hire security to support efforts to discourage public consumption of cannabis, particularly during the warmer months. Most likely, this will be in the form of supporting the Greenway Ranger program. We value the partnership we have with the Wharf District Council. Move to the next slide. We negotiated a good neighbor agreement with the council to support its work. We will be a productive member of this community. We appreciate their support throughout this process. We also want to thank the leadership of City Council President Ed Flynn and holding us accountable to put our best possible foot forward as we do this work. We appreciate your time and look forward to answering any of the questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. We will begin with questions from our board members. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you, I do. I'll take you up on your offer for more information about the mentoring program.
So one of the things that we now, and I'll take it, I know Dan is also there too, who's also can join us. One of the things that that I find over the years since I've been engaged in this business now is that there's a lack of talent, right? We want to be able to grow talent right here in Massachusetts to support the work that we're doing. And so we want to be able to use our staff and to use this location as a place to do that. We'd have a small task force inside our own dispensary, and we will work with other organizations to build a pool of folks across a pool of applicants so that we can come in and they can learn the different lines of business that we have. We're hoping at some point we'll be able to work with a school when that is available to us. Right now, it's not easy because of the federal rules to be able to engage in a more formal way for workforce training for this workforce, but working with our own team, working with collaborators and advocates around this issue, we would be able to bring people in and get them trained. And hopefully we will be able to support building that workforce here in Boston.
Marie, to add a couple of things on the mentorship talent, that's how the relationship started with Collins and myself. And mentorship, that's something we're extremely familiar with, and we've been doing for years with my foundation, and that means a lot to us. And moving forward, that's something we'll continue to work on and make sure this thing works the way it's supposed to work. And that's part of the reason why I chose to move back home to somewhat help bridge the gap in my new ventures now in the real estate world with diversity and inclusion here in the city of Boston.
Chairman, does you have any more questions? You're all set.
All set.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Not at this time. I was trying to look at some of the stuff on the map, but I'm gonna have to wait till I can really get my eyes in. And if I do, can I send it in? Because it has something to do with the entrances, but I couldn't see. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sankian?
Could you put up the slide that has the density in the neighborhood again?
Sure. Just give me 1 second here.
Thank you.
I believe this is what you were referring to.
Yeah, keep going back. The residential population done. Okay.
That was it.
Okay. That was it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
To the left.
All
The
right.
furthest
First
left.
one.
Okay. And you include I'm sorry, do you include the seaport there
I believe
as part of your zone?
it is part of that downtown area. Yes.
Okay, because I think, well, it just with the location, if I'm thinking of it correctly, that would be the closest establishment to the seaport.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And
the only one. Yeah, everything else is on the other side.
Okay. Okay.
There's none in the seaport.
Okay. Have you worked with anyone or reached out to any of the residents in the seaport?
We did not reach specifically to resident. We worked through the district council.
Yeah.
North
Okay.
District Council.
Okay. Great. And then I'm so used to calling you Rep. St. Fleur. Ms. St. Fleur, you have interest in other businesses. Can you just explain where those licenses are in there? Not where physically, but like how many establishments are open and operating?
I am involved with three other establishments, Union Twist, that is one that I work with. I also work with a manufacturing, and all those are in different stages. I am not directly involved with them. I was part of as a consultant that I worked with the manufacturing piece, and they're underway. As it relates to the Union Twist piece, that one we're working with an attorney on that.
Okay, great. And what is the proposed staff size once you're fully operating at this facility?
We're looking at 30. We anticipate about approximately 30 employees total.
Okay. And will you be consulting on the diversity implementation of the diversity? Okay.
This particular, yes, I will be.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lobos, do you have any questions?
I do. Thank you so much. I had a couple questions just to follow up on Commissioner Singian's about the other two establishments that you're a part of. Are they, so you're not directly involved? I just wondered if there was how they're operating, what's the track record around hiring, just to get a sense of how this might operate. But if I just wanted to clarify, are you directly involved in terms of
The one that's there of the two, one of them is on their way to manufacturing, that's underway, that has not been totally built out. And the second is again is in the same situation. I think is probably still before the zoning board of appeals.
I see. So they're not operating yet.
Yeah, I would leave that with Dan. Yeah, because Dan is representing on that one as well. Yeah, not
Yeah,
operating.
that's correct. Thanks, Maureen. None of the Union Twist locations are operational at the moment.
Okay. And then I just had a question in the in our memo, it talks about this, maybe I missed this in your presentation, but this good neighbor agreement with the Wharf District Neighborhood Council. Is that aspirational or has that already been negotiated, or can you say more about what that is?
It's negotiated and it's been executed, and there's a copy, I think a copy was submitted to the council, to the board. And I know that the executive director is as well here with us today. Suzanne Lavoie is here with us.
I see.
Yeah, we wanted to know we did receive that about like right before the hearing, so that's why it wasn't included in the packet.
Yeah, there was additionally a letter of support from the Wharf District Council that was submitted just before the hearing. That's correct.
Yes, but the actual agreement I think was submitted as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then just one last question in terms of, you know, this piece around solicited feedback from employees and just like, I think, you know, throughout in terms of employment plans, I'd just be interested how you intend to do that. It's more, it sounds like you're soliciting, but how and how does worker voice become accommodated in your plan here?
I think that's really part of an HR function for how that worker voice will get incorporated. I mean, a couple of things. I think one, management has to create the environment to allow for employees, and that should be part of the management's own evaluation, how we evaluate management. And that is their relationship with their employees in the space that's created. And that happens during, because I think of management as education as well, because that is the time that they're spending with the staff and hearing from them. And so that allows for the feedback. The other idea is to actually allow for an anonymous box somewhere where that individual will be allowed, if they feel uncomfortable and cannot talk directly with the management. And therefore there's a way for them, independent of the management, to leave information that owners can receive.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you. I was wondering if, so I see you're doing this research on the effects of cannabis and CT and all that. Are you thinking of one day doing medical dispensary, or you?
I leave that with my other, because, you know, as you can see, I leave that to my other colleagues, but the initial the research piece, I think Gosder is the one. I mean, given Gosder's experience and the punishment that he's received as part of being a professional NFL, I think it's really trying to figure out how he works with his colleague in order to do the kind of research, and perhaps in conjunction with the university at some point, to really understand, you know, how this product can help people who are living with chronic pain. And, you know, as I think about Gaza, I think about women who suffer from all sorts of other issues that are pressing monthly and need relief and have to use, you know, pharmaceutical as a way to relieve their pain. There's a lot of applications here. So it's really the research. It's not, I don't know that we have not had a conversation about a medical license. We've really been talking about focus on that unique piece, the research piece, in order to see if we can add value.
So it's research to disseminate information to your customers.
Yeah.
And
overtime.
the only thing I would add there, Commissioner, in addition to Marie's comments, is that currently still in Massachusetts, you have to be a vertically integrated establishment to offer medical sales, meaning you also have to cultivate your own product, and that may change in the future, at which time it would be, significantly easier to add medical sales. But right now, given the requirement to have an operating cultivation facility, medical is not part of the proposal at the moment.
Okay, thank you. You said 30 employees, and what's the hiring, the rate?
I think it would depend on how, and I don't have an answer for you on that. I think it would depend on how we're ramping up, right? And you'd have to scale that as you open up.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd be happy to provide some additional information there. Commissioner, are you just looking for sort of the scheduling for?
The scheduling, the salary, the positions, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll provide some additional information to the board on scheduling and salaries.
Okay, and I guess the last question for now, 150 hours of community service. What does that look like? It says that support diversity and inclusion.
I think there are many organizations across the city that we can add value and that could use support. And it's, if the staff wants to do it, because, sometimes people want to volunteer and want to, maybe it's I don't know, Boys and Girls Club, maybe it's Rosie's Place, maybe it's Pine Street Inn, and they want to be able to do that. But oftentimes, middle income, wage earners don't get the opportunity. Even though they want to give, that space is not created for them to be able to give in that way. And so if we can create that space, they can have the same experiences as others who are more affluent, who have the time, who can create that space to do that, and they don't lose their income, but they can still give back. Some people do it because they go to church, you know what I mean? And they do it that way, but other people, if they, that you can't afford it.
So staff can opt in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not mandatory, no.
And
So
also,
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to add to also giving back. It's also a part of who we are and part of the group. That's why coming into it, the first thing we did was establish that relationship between my foundation and High Street Cannabis group. That being said, we've been doing everything that we're promising to you today, like for the past 11 years, saying up Pen Pal, Big Brother, Big Little Brother program with the Edward Middle School in Charlestown. We've had many a free NFL youth football camp, everything that was paid by the Gaza Shirley's Foundation. We've established some, I'm so sorry. We've established some sort of JV partnership with some of the small projects that I'm doing here to somewhat help teaching or mentoring some of these young professionals looking for a way to work or some new avenues to get into, trying to open up their minds a little bit. So everything we're promising about like the community part of it, giving back, it matters to us. And that's what we've been doing for years. And with the help, hopefully, of High Street Cannabis Group being a part of us, of helping us financially, I can absolutely show us doing more. And that's something that matters. And we'll make sure that gets done.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. Now we will move on to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Sarah D'Amico, and I'm with Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Our office would like to defer to the board's judgment at this time. The applicant had gone through a community process, which included a butters meeting on Wednesday, November 10th at 6 p.m. During that process, the application had received concerns about its location being near the Greenway and the number of dispensaries being added, and the concerns around traffic because of the location. Going off on that, they have received support from the Wharf District Council. The applicant will ensure that the Wharf District neighborhood continues to be a place where people would want to work, live, and visit. They will also work with the Wharf District to maintain the character of community and to continue to be safe in a family-friendly environment welcoming to all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or representatives?
Good morning, Madam Ode Chair, members of the board. Ana Calderon from Councilor Flink's office. The councilor provided a letter in non-opposition in regarding to this proposal earlier today. Please note that this proposal lies within the half-mile buffer zone regulation and that the Wharf District Council and the High Street Cannabis Group has entered into a good neighbor agreement as a prerequisite for the neighborhood support under the condition that this agreement will be upheld for 5 years, commencing upon operations of the establishment. This good neighbor agreement will remain in effect in the business were to be sold or transferred within the 5-year period. The High Street Cannabis Group worked well in engaging the neighbors and the Wharf District Council in a professional and respectful dialogue during this community process. The proponent needs to be committed to work with his neighbors and the Wharf District Council as they operate and work to maintain their character of the community. The proponent needs to ensure that the neighborhood that they are in continues to be safe, healthy, and inviting to residents and visitors alike. The Wharf District Council believes that this working relationship may be beneficial to the neighborhood and has submitted a support letter with these conditions in mind, and as such, I'm offering my non-opposition letter for this proposal. It should be also noted that the High Street Cannabis Group is an equity applicant that is well respected in Boston, and it is critical to continue working closely with equity applicants in this field, along with women and minority-owned small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I just want to point out that good neighbor agreements are private agreements that the board does not enforce good neighbor agreements, just so that's clear.
Thank you for clarifying that, Jasmine, but we did wanted to mention it on our testimony. Thank you.
Any other elected officials or representatives? Seeing none, we will move to public testimony. Please state your name and address for the record. I will start with if anyone was able to sign up via the link. I see a Camille. I don't think Camille is.
Hello, my name is Camille Bourget, father of Collins Bourget. I have owned Bourget's Tailoring, located at 15 Court Square, next to the City Hall for the past 25 years. I'm speaking in support of this project based on the ownership proposal and the location. I've been in the city for a long time, and I strongly feel that the downtown Boston population can support multiple cannabis businesses in the area. I'm in support of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, the chat function is not available, so if you'd like to testify, please raise your hand and I'll call on you as I see your hand raised. The first person I see is Dara, and I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong.
Hello, my name is Dara Moylan. My family owns and operates the pub and residence at 141 Pearl Street in Boston. We've been there for 20 years, and just like the Wharf District can handle multiple restaurants and Dunkin' Donuts, we believe that it could handle multiple cannabis shops as well. I think it'd be a good addition to the neighborhood, and that's about it.
Thank you. Matthew Wells is the next hand I see.
All right, thanks for having me. My name is Matthew Wells. I'm a business owner right around the corner from the proposed location. Similar to some of the other testimony, I think that we are in support of this project, and then also supportive of the idea that there can be multiple cannabis locations downtown. Just because it came up earlier, I just also note that I'm a resident of the Seaport District. So both as a business owner downtown here and as a resident of the Seaport District, I would provide my support for this project.
Thank you. Next, Suzanne.
My name's Suzanne Lavoie. I'm the Executive Director of the Wharf District Council. I live at 85 East India Row here in Boston in the Wharf District. And I just wanted to say that initially we had concerns about this, and after the November 10th meeting, we got together and we worked with the folks at 200 High Street Group, and we came up with what we consider and they consider to be an agreement that is supportive both of our neighborhood. I know these cannabis dispensaries do other things for the Boston neighborhoods in general, but in particularly our neighborhood, and that they would become active citizens of our community, which if you know anything about the Wharf District, we have a very strong residential, business, hotel, and nonprofit relationship. So we look forward to working with them. And we feel that this 11-point neighborhood agreement benefits both our neighborhood and the 200 High Street Group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next hand I see is Matt Katz.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Katz. I'm a Needham resident, but work at 125 High Street in Boston. I work for the landlord of the building, and the ownership of the building has been supportive of this tenancy. We will have a lease with the tenant that will have appropriate measures for making sure that they respect the safety and other tenants in the property. The owner of the building has been a long time charitable supporter in Boston and throughout, and has owned this property for 30 years and is committed to seeing the increased improvements of the Greenway and the whole district. So we are supportive of the use and and have done our due diligence on the team that is backing this enterprise.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to provide testimony in regards to this matter? Seeing no additional hands, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Can I please speak?
Oh yeah, sure. Police station.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Nietzsche, and I am speaking in support of this proposal. First, I would like to share with you that Berkshire Roots Dispensary in East Boston has been a great partner to my organization, the East Boston Community.
This is still High Street. We're not on Berkshire Roots.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Apologize.
Nope, that's okay. Is there anyone else that would like to testify in regards to 200 High Street? All right, seeing none, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Next, we have CNA Stores, Inc. CNA Stores. The proposed license premise is 70 Von Halloran Street, Dorchester. The license type is a recreational cannabis dispensary license. The proposed hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. This is a non-equity applicant. The applicant filed their application on October 4th, 2021. They filed with Inspectional Services October 28th, 2020, and their community meeting was held on November 30th, 2021. There is a buffer zone conflict with another cannabis establishment. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Robert DeFazio. And we should have Dan Magoon, Pete DeGastino, and Michelle Whitley.
Perfect. So you will have 10 minutes to present. You may share your screen and begin your presentation.
Alrighty. Can everybody see my screen?
You see it, Rob.
All right, great. Hello, everybody. My name is Rob DeFazio. I'm here to present to you today. Madam Chairman of the Cannabis Board, thank you for your time, and commissioners, thank you for allowing us to present. Today, we're going to cover a basic introduction to our company, location, our diversity inclusion plan, our employment plan, go through some of our community feedback and public support, and then talk a little bit about safety, and then go over some questions about the location. CNA Stores was started by myself and Billy Haggard back in 2018. Our whole vision is, our mission statement is to cultivate integrity and commitment. We produce a high quality product that provides an unparalleled experience and promote a better quality of life. We do this by, driving quality, integrity, and commitment into the culture of CNA Stores and everything we do. Currently, right now, CNA Stores has two retail locations. One in Haverhill, it's about 9,000 square feet, and one in Amesbury, Mass, which is about 2,000 square feet. Both these stores have been open for about a year, and we've been up and operational. We currently have a cultivation and manufacturing license for another location in Amesbury, Massachusetts, and we're currently in the process of building it out. We have another property in Winchton, Mass, under site control, and we are applying for another additional cultivation license there. The team, like I said, on our team here today, Rob DeFazio, myself, and Billy Haggard started this company. My background was United States Navy, nuclear power program with the Navy, got out of the Navy, went into data centers, built a business in the data center world, sold it, and started a business, CNA Stores. Billy, same background, Navy nuclear power, went into data centers. That's where he and I kind of became friends, and then we joined forces to start this business. I've got some slide decks in here just to kind of show you a little bit about each of our team and who they are. So I'm not going to go through them in detail because I've only got 10 minutes. If you got any questions in particular, we can go ahead and answer those. The actual location, 70 Von Hilleren Street, as you can see by the red circle there, that's our store. We are bordered by Route 93 and the red line directly behind us. The JFK T stop is right here, and there's a stairwell that comes down to where you could actually, a lot of pedestrian foot traffic could come to our store. This is the building of what it looks like currently as it sits. Over here in this area, we'd have 8 parking spaces, 7 regular ones, and then 1 ADA parking spot. This drawing here kind of shows the layout, our proposed design of the exterior of the building. What we're trying to do is mirror the old Savin Hill T-stop look, and kind of do a little play on words and call it the train station as opposed to the train station. Having a little fun there. This is the inside of the store. As you see, you'll come in the entry here. The security will check your ID. You'll then be entered into the sales floor, at which point in time the bud tenders will check your IDs again, and then you'll do your transaction and then exit the store here. As you can see by the layout, we have a sally port in the back where all our deliveries of our product come in, and then they'll go directly into our vault for storage. We got a little break area and some office area back there as needed to meet the requirements for the CCC. Parking and transportation, like I said, we have 8 parking spaces, 7 regular spaces, and 1 ADA. And we've got JFK, just JFK UMass T-stop just to the south of us here, and then the Andrews T-stop just to the north of us. And then, as you can see, all these other bus routes. We envision that most of our traffic through our store will be pedestrian traffic and hopefully via public transportation. We'll be using an online ordering app so they can do pre-orders prior to showing up to the store to help minimize the time in the stores. Currently, what we're seeing in our existing stores is about a 6 to 7 minute transaction time. And obviously that goes up a little faster with pre-orders. As we stated, we have a buffer zone conflict. We're approximately, just a little bit shy of the half-mile buffer. And that's really, as the crow flies. So a straight line distance from another cannabis dispensary. If you kind of look at it, I'll show you here on the next map that, as you can see, we are here. Ethos is the closest one to us. Basically, no matter how you go, whether you walk, get in a car or a bicycle, it's about a mile away. The great thing about our location is that we're separated by I-93, which we will service everybody to the east of us in that fashion. Diversity inclusion plan. This is something that CNA Stores takes to heart because of the fact that we firmly believe in our plan and commitment to diversity. Right now, currently 78% of our team represents minorities, women, veterans, people with disabilities, people of all gender identities and sexual orientations. 66% of our employees come from the towns in which the stores are located. So we're very big on hiring locals. 38% of our management team is made up of women. 34% of our employees come from areas of disproportionate impact. One thing that the CCC requires is to be able to track and monitor all that data and hold us accountable to those measures. So our diversity inclusion plan that we've submitted to the CCC, we're committed to hiring 50% or more based on minorities, women, veterans, people with disabilities, and people with gender. Excuse me?
About 3 minutes left.
Okay. So our programs, benefits and things of that nature, we're going to work with Mass Hire in the city of Boston to get our employees. One of the key things that we want to kind of point out is in our employment plan that, we are definitely paying higher than the living wage as established by Boston Living Wages and Job Ordinance. And, if you really look at our benefits package, like we're providing full health insurance, we'll provide public transportation subsidies, paid time off employees, because one thing that CNA Stores takes for granted or doesn't take for granted is that our employees are the face of our company. They mean more to us. If you were to look at our corporation, our corporate triangle, our CEO is at the bottom of the triangle and he works for the people that work underneath him. Our managers work for our bud tenders and our bud tenders take care of our customers. Without great bud tenders, without great employees, we don't have a business. So that's kind of ingrained in our culture. Community support. We've done a lot of community support in the neighborhood, not only in the cities that we're in currently, but also in the city of Boston. Like for example, here, Senator DeZoglio, wrote us a letter of support. We fed over 12,000 families in Haverhill and Amesbury area last year during COVID with help from our Mass Military Support Foundation. We do a Snow Angels program in Haverhill and Amesbury where we actually go dig out seniors and disabled veterans. And as far as for community support hours, this year alone, we have over 200 community support hours, and it's only February. But it's important that this gets ingrained in our business and what we do. In the Dorchester area, we've been working with the community, with Community Corner and Elizabeth Casey and going through and supporting families, from the Thanksgiving meals to doing Christmas dinners to even going through and during COVID again, trying to help 300 families with meals. A lot of what we do is geared towards giving back to the communities we're in. So we help with veterans homelessness, we support Mass Fallen Heroes and Community Corner, just to name a few. Security, on-site security team will be there at all times. Basically, these slides here go through what's required by the CCC, of which we're very familiar with, having 2 stores open already and currently operational. Just want to make sure I hit everything before I run out.
That is your time if you want to just wrap up.
That's it then. Thank you very much for your time. If anyone has any questions, by all means.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have no questions. Thank you, Jasmine.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am, I have no questions.
Commissioner Sankin, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a few questions. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. In terms of you said you imagine that most of your customer base would be through foot traffic. Where is that coming from? Are you looking at the area in South Boston? Or I guess I'm just trying to visualize knowing that Urba is like very much in the Columbia Road area.
So this would be the Andrews Square area and the JFK T-stop areas that we'd be supporting. Savon Hill is just on the other side of 93. And then on the other side of the red line, you've got, I believe it's Andrews Square and mostly South Boston.
Okay, but you're not in Andrews Square.
No, we are not in it, no.
Not considered Andrews Square, okay. And this is just a suggestion and you can take it or not, but I was impressed by the your connection with the veterans community and being veteran owned as well. And just as you do outreach for your employees, think about perhaps partnering with the Department of Veterans at the City of Boston. They're very connected to the veteran community, and also a commitment to veterans of color who disproportionately don't receive as many services as other veterans. So that's just a suggestion. You don't have to take it.
No, thank you. That's very good. I appreciate that.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Commissioner Lombos?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple questions. Thanks so much for sharing the track record in your other businesses. It's really good to hear the diversity and you've kept up with that. Can you share a little bit about retention in your other shops? Have you been able to keep the ones that have been employed there for, and how long?
Yeah, so we've been very successful at retaining our employees, mostly because we treat our company like a family. And it's kind of, we're different. Everybody says never do business with friends and family, but every business I've started with was with a friend or a family member. So I don't know how to do it any other way. Like, for example, my son's the manager of our Haverhill store. 4 kids on our staff, I actually taught T-ball to. So when you look at who we bring into our team, it's people that we know and we trust. But because I know them and know them so well, and they know me so well, that's easy for new employees to fit in, because they know that, hey, he's like, I remember working in the store at the cash register, one of the bud tenders turning to me and saying, I can't believe I'm working next to the CEO of a business. And I said to him, I said, I put my pants on the same way you do. And I'm like, and I probably make more mistakes at the cash register than you. I said, but we're here, we're working side by side. And I said, I don't want you to think of me any differently. Like we have a suggestion box out there that allows employees to make suggestions on, one, how to improve our business, how to, if they've got an issue they need to address and they can't address it with their managers. But what we find a lot of is that if you actually engage them in the process and then teach them and mentor them, is really a good way to say that, to make them feel included in your business. The people that leave because they're leaving the state or going to get another job. Like, I think our first employee that left, he was with us for about 4 months, and he retired and moved to the state of Maine. His daughter now works for us. That's how much he likes us. His best friend now works for us. So when you talk about retention, the ones that stay are the ones that we cultivate. And there are people that leave because our industry right now has this big, it's fun, it's new, and it's interesting. And when they come to work in a retail environment, they don't think of it as retail, they think of it as cannabis. But about a month into it, they realize it's a retail job. So those are the ones that quickly move on. But anyone that normally stays more than 60 days are still with us as a company. So retention's key. I think we do a lot more than most companies do, just because we care. And not to say other companies don't care. I don't mean to put them down that way, but I just want to maybe you should say that we really care about our employees. Like their
Thank you.
family.
I appreciate that. Just a couple other questions. You mentioned that you are paying higher than the Boston living wage, but didn't say what was the starting wage and average. Can you share a little bit?
Yeah, right now, our bud tenders make $16 to $17 an hour starting, and they go upwards to 19. You know, and then depending on whether you're assistant manager or manager or inventory manager, the scale goes away from hourly and goes into a salary-based position.
Great, thank you. And then I might have missed this. How many employees at this location are you thinking of?
Probably
For
35,
planning for?
probably 35 employees.
Okay.
Yeah, we found through our Haverhill store, which is probably going to be as busy as this store, that 30 to 35 is a good 30 full-time with about 5 part-timers.
Great. Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. Commissioner Lombos asked the question about the starting salary, so that's covered. Just quickly, 38% you said of the management team are women. What's the percentage in terms of BIPOC folks?
By what?
Black and indigenous, you know, people of color.
I don't have.
What's the percentage of your management team?
Of my management team?
Yeah.
I don't have that number on hand right now. I can get that for you.
If you can, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Now we move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. George Huynh with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Our office hosted a public meeting for the proponent on November 30th, 2021. Abutters raised a number of concerns, including safety issues, given that the dead-end street is not well lit and has led to loitering and other illicit activities. But given the discrete nature of this location, however, operations may not directly disturb residents. But overall, the applicant was receptive to feedback and expressed interest in connecting individually with abutters and business owners to make secure the area. So at this time, our office would like to defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or representatives? Seeing none. If you wish to testify on this matter, if you could just raise your hand, the chat function is not available and no one has signed up via the link. Seeing no, oh. Dennis? You want to unmute yourself, Dennis?
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dennis Kalazier. I'm the owner of the property of 70 Von Hilleran Street that's being considered for the license. I've owned this property since 1986, and I've run a construction company from this location. I've had as many as 40 employees working for me out of this location, many of which have been hired directly from the general area. I'm from the area. I'm born and brought up from that general location. And as I mentioned, I'm in the construction business, which I still operate out of that location now. I've stored construction vehicles on there consisting of heavy duty pickup trucks, dump trucks, mobile cranes. And we've been able to operate from that location without causing any disruption to the other businesses. It is an industrial location, it's zoned industrial commercial. There's been industrial companies running from that general location, that little triangular area that you saw on the locus map for over 100 years. In terms of traffic flow, obviously I'm going to be moving my company from that location to another location. I actually think it's going to minimize the amount of traffic in that area. So I don't think it's going to be a detriment. And in terms of reaching out to the abutters, I've talked to the abutters myself. In fact, I'd like to share with the board a copy of a letter. Can everybody see this from Old Bostonian?
No, if you could just submit that to the board.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I think I know what I did here. Yeah. Yeah. And basically what the letter says is it's just that, you know, they know us, and I will submit that to the board, that they are a direct abutter. The company's Old Bostonian. They are located at 66 Von Hilleran Street. They abut our business. They've been there since 1990. And they state very straightforwardly that, you know, we've always been able to work without causing any disruption to the neighborhood, and that's operating a construction company. And as I mentioned, the retail business, I believe, will diminish the amount of traffic load as far as terms of, you know, heavy vehicles and things of that nature. This location is separated from the neighborhood. There aren't any residential units in the area. So it's not going to impact the residential community at all. So it's an ideal location, in my opinion. You know, the question I would have to ask is, if not in this location, then where could you have a cannabis establishment in the city of Boston? In terms of the tenants, CNNA stores, I have done my due diligence to vet these people out. Obviously, I'm the landlord. I want to make sure that I get a responsible tenant in my location. I've spent a lot of time doing my due diligence. As Mr. DeFazio mentioned, they have 2 operational locations. And I've gone and I have visited them. I have walked through the locations. I have met their employees.
Dennis, if you would like to submit additional comments in writing, we usually just allow 2 minutes for public testimony. But I know
Okay. So just to summarize it, I believe the location can support this building, and I believe these folks will be a great tenant in addition to the neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify in regards to this matter? Seeing no hands, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you so much. All right. Our last matter is the next applicant is seeking to add medical to their already existing recreational license, along with the request to amend the current recreational license operating hours. Please note that the addition of medical does not count towards the purposes of the 1-to-1 equity to non-equity ratio. So the applicant is Berkshire Roots, Inc. The location is 251 and 253 Meridian Street, East Boston. The license type is a co-located medical and recreational cannabis dispensary. This is a non-equity applicant. The application was filed September 14th, 2021. They filed with the Inspectional Services July 6, 2018. The community meeting was held on September 30th, 2021. And the amendment to the recreational hours as of now, the current hours are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., and they're proposing Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. The applicant has withdrawn its request to allow for third-party delivery. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Hi, this is James Winokur, CEO of Berkshire Roots. I have 2 people with me in case there are questions that are in their area of interest. Andrea Nusiforo of Nusiforo Law, our corporate counsel, and Lee Juan, who works for Berkshire Roots as our community outreach manager, diversity, inclusion, equity.
Thank you. You will have 10 minutes to present, followed by questions from the commissioners.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you to the board for having us on your hearing agenda today. We have gone through this prior, so I will go through a level of detail, but certainly if you have questions, I expect those. There are 2 requests for changes here. One is to add medical as discussed, and the other is to expand our store hours. As you've heard from other applicants, we are also seeking to look at some of our other Boston area stores. Our current hours, as Jasmine stated, Monday through Saturday, we open at 9 and close at 7. For those same days, Monday through Saturday, we're asking to open 1 hour later at 10 a.m. and extend the evening hours till 9 p.m. On Sundays, we currently open at 11 and close at 6. We'd like to open an hour earlier, 10 to 6. That would give us consistent opening time of 10 a.m., closing earlier on Sunday, but the rest of the week staying open till 9. That does match pretty well with the adult use cannabis stores in the area. I presented this slide before. So the top 4, Happy Valley, Ascend, Pure Oasis, and Seed, all have adult use. The bottom 2, Patriot Care and Mayflower, are medical only. So they have a different customer base, different thinking about their store hours. We do find that customers are interested in those evening hours and have expressed that to us. We did submit to the board a petition for both of these items, but one of those items was a number of signatures in support of us extending the hours, and you have that information. The second request is to add medical, which involves the Cannabis Control Commission. So this is a first step to us going through the Cannabis Control Commission process. Berkshire Roots operates out in Pittsfield as well. We've been co-located with adult use and medical for quite a while now. So we have good experience doing it. We are highly interested in medical as part of the cannabis community. I personally am on a board that is for physicians in the medical community to advocate for medical. In fact, we have a letter from Dr. Jordan Tischler, who's a cannabis recommender in Boston, as a physician practice in East Boston and currently has patients in East Boston as a cannabis recommender. We do think it's important to the community to be able to service those who are in walking distance of the store. There really is no other alternative for them right now for medical cannabis. That will improve patient access, and as mentioned in some other presentations today, we do believe that cannabis is being well researched and is furthering our ability to reduce the dependence on other narcotics. So it'd be great to add that to the East Boston area. In addition to the petition I mentioned for extended hours, that petition includes support of adding medical as well. In our other submission, Representative Adrian Madaro provided a letter that does have a lot of content about delivery, but there is a paragraph of his non-opposition to medical. That includes, I'm not opposed to this use at the site. I do not see a medical license having any additional impact on the surrounding community. I have not heard significant opposition from the neighborhood regarding this issue. So all those are submitted to the board. That is what I have for presentation.
Thank you. Chairwoman Joyce, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Sangian?
Yes. Just in terms of your original application and community feedback, was the hours a significant part of community feedback, like in a very clear part of what they wanted to see there?
In our community meeting in September, most of the discussion was around delivery. There was some discussion around hours and adding medical. There, again, in that forum, there wasn't a lot of discussion or opposition. And per Adrian Madaro's letter, I believe he's through the Eagle Hill Civic Association gathered his information, and that's why he has a non-opposition paragraph.
Okay. And that was for, okay, that's fine. And can you just explain to me why or what or how are medical customers serviced differently than recreational? Why would medical patients not already go to you for their needs?
So under the state regulations through Cannabis Control Commission, medical patients do not pay sales tax, and they have products available to them that recreational customers don't, with certain limits on what we can provide recreational customers.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Commissioner Lombos?
I do have a question about in terms of how you are co-locating. This application is for co-locating and then also extending hours.
Correct.
Right. So you're already in operation.
Correct.
Correct. Can you give me a sense of what your just in terms of how long have you been in operation, just in terms of your track record for your diversity and employment plan? I just want to get a sense of your track record, given that you're asking for an extension of hours and as well as a co-medical. And just, they're two big things, so.
Sure. So we started in Pittsfield with medical only when those regulations provided only medical. April 2018, we opened. We added adult use in April 2019 in Pittsfield. So we've been operating for quite a while with a co-located facility in Pittsfield. In East Boston, we opened in July 2020. And we've been operating since then as adult use only.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to, like, what's your track record of who your employees are? What's the demographics? What's the percentage of people of color and women? People most impacted by the war on drugs, immigrants, residents?
Yeah, we'll focus on East Boston. I'm sure that's why you're asking. So the East Boston location. Lijuan Toma is on the phone, who's our Community Outreach, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Manager. So I'll let Lijuan take that.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Lijuan Toma. I'm the Community Outreach, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Manager for Berkshire Roots Dispensary. So right now we have, I believe our breakdown is a little over 50%, between 50 and 60% of employees that are either from areas of disproportionate impact or the East Boston area itself. And with that, we also, for our gender breakdown in our East Boston location, it is a majority female staff members. We do have a very small crew with roughly, I want to say, I think it's about 15 employees right now, where I want to say all but 3 or 4 are female in that site. And then on top of that, we do have diversity among staff. I believe it's also about 60% fall under either Black, Hispanic, African American, Asian, or mixed races.
Great, thank you. And what's the average wage and starting wages for your employees?
We had a starting rate of 16. We've moved that to higher, between 16 and 17, depending on experience in the last few months.
And how many are you planning? What I might have missed this, but how many are you planning for at this to expand hours? Are you planning to grow your worker base, or?
Not currently. Obviously, if we see the material change in transactions, then we will have to add people.
So you don't see a need for increased employees by having a co-located medical and expanding hours?
Not at this time.
Okay. And can you share a little bit about in that location in East Boston, also in Pittsfield, what the how your culture is around worker voice? What do you do to encourage input and feedback from employees?
Yeah, actually, I'll let Lijuan take that one too, because she's leading that effort.
So we do have a very large open door policy. We like hearing everybody's ideas. We have also recently started a internal company-wide newsletter for employees to have the opportunity to provide feedback to the organization, as well as to keep everyone connected, considering we're on complete opposite sides of the state right now.
Lijuan also leads some committees that through a roundtable present ideas back to the company.
Yes, so we also have our roundtable committee that helps carry out the goals that we've set forth in the positive impact plan and diversity and inclusion plan. And those committees are made up of people from every department, or almost every department that we have, and varying positions, starting at, just a regular agent to directors and managers. So that way we can get well-rounded voices. And then I take their feedback and bring it back to our executive team.
Great, thanks. And just last question, I didn't get a sense of those 15 employees in terms of retention. How many have actually started with you from the beginning and have stayed with you, and how many what's the turnover rate?
Yeah, I don't know the turnover rate. We have of the 15, at least 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that have been with us from the beginning. The remainder probably all been with us fairly long term now.
So it's actually 3 employees, myself included.
You.
That
Yes,
were,
I believe
yes, myself included from the initial opening of the dispensary. And then the last time, or most of our other employees have been with us for almost a year now, with a few others that maybe got hired during the summer, but most of them are at minimally a year.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Jasmine. No, I don't. Thank you all.
Okay, we'll begin with public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Natalia Benitez with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Our office would like to defer to the board judgment at this time. However, Berkshire Roots completed the community process when they met with butters on September 30th, 2021, as well as Eagle Hills Civic Association. The community has voiced concerns regarding parking accessibility for the residents, especially because of the extension of hours. And abutters are also concerned with people using cannabis openly in the residential areas near this location, specifically in Princeton Street, where there are a lot of children that reside there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected officials or representatives? Seeing none, I believe I had one person that signed up to speak. Sandra?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. I am Sandra Niger, and I am speaking in support of Berkshire's proposal. First, I would like to share with you that Berkshire's Roots Dispensary in East Boston has been a great partner to my nonprofit organization, and that is the East Boston Community Soup Kitchen, where we serve a very diverse population, folks from all walks of life. And currently, we are not functioning as a soup kitchen. We are functioning more as a food pantry. And Lee Juan and several team members of Berkshire Roots have come in to volunteer at the soup kitchen and have also been donating food and funds to our soup kitchen to help us continue our efforts on addressing food insecurity in our community of East Boston and everyone that comes to us from surrounding communities. Working with them has always been friendly and professional at all times. And just to give you a brief background of my organization is that pre-COVID, we were feeding over 300 families, and everybody was able to come in and dine in and be connected to local resources, and helped our homeless have detox services and many other services. But now, because of COVID, we are operating as a food pantry where we are providing groceries to families who have a place to cook, and then we're providing hot meal vouchers of a value of $11 to our homeless who have no place to cook, and they take that to local restaurants and redeem it for a hot meal of their choosing. And we wouldn't be able to do all this work without supporters such as Berkshire's Roots, who kindly and generously support our cause and constantly donate to us. So I am in support of their proposal. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Sandra. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify in regards to this matter? Seeing no hands, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, those were all the matters before the board today. The board's voting meeting will take place next Wednesday, February 16th at 1 p.m. That information will be posted on our website, boston.gov/cannabis tomorrow. Again, the record will be kept open until next Tuesday, February 15th at 5 p.m. Thank you all for attending today and enjoy the rest of your day.